Welcome back to Full Court Femmes.
And today, ladies, we finally get to say the words out loud.
Woohoo! St. John's, Big East regular season champions.
Woo!
Yay!
Yes! The Red Storm closed the regular season Friday night with a 72-65 win over Seton Hall at the Prudential Center. At the time, that win clinched the number 1 seed in the Big East tournament and a share of the conference title with UConn.
And then, about 24 hours later,
Marquette beat UConn.
Woo!
everything we wished for.
Woo! Which meant St. John's didn't just share the title, they became the sole Big East regular season champions!
Take that, UConn. Let's go back to the game itself, ladies, because that was not an easy one. Seton Hall slowed everything down. They made it physical. It looked a lot like the Georgetown game earlier in the week.
Most of the night, the Johnnies were producing. Let's start with Zuby Ejiofor, who once again controlled the middle. He finished 21 points in only 23 minutes of play due to quick fouls in the first half. Despite this, he anchored both ends of the floor.
Then you had Bryce Hopkins, who gave St. John's a steady scoring presence with 11 points with 7 rebounds, attacking the rim when the offense needed movement.
And then Osiah Sellers stepped in with a huge contribution off the perimeter, delivering 11 points, several of them coming during a stretch where St. John's finally created separation.
We do have to talk about the strangest storyline of the night, though.
Oh my God, Annie, yes, we do, because you and I were like giggling persistently at our seats. Ruben Prey lost his shoe during live play.
Okay, but honestly, guys, I've seen that once or twice in a game. But then later,
Dylan Darling loses his shoe, too. It's a Cinderella story.
At that point, I thought the equipment manager was going to get a technical.
March basketball is chaos. Apparently, even the sneakers felt the pressure.
Now, here's the part people don't see on the broadcast. After the game ended, the arena stayed electric, as I'm sure you can imagine. Fans stuck around. Players were celebrating in the locker room with the fans chanting St. John's in the concession area.
And the best part, Erin and I actually got to see members of the team and celebrate with them.
It was so amazing. We ran into Bryce Hopkins, Zuby Ejiofor, Dylan Mitchell, and a bunch of fans still buzzing about that win. It felt like a real moment we were sharing in together.
Meanwhile, Caroline had FOMO because Caroline was in Palm Springs celebrating her youngest 21st birthday at Indian Wells. And I had a great time watching tennis. But when I saw those pictures of you guys with my guy, Zuby Ejiofor, I was a little upset.
Caroline, you made the right choice. Choosing tennis over a championship celebration. We as mothers, we understand.
Motherhood makes us make some difficult choices.
Yes, it does. So tennis and seating seemed to be all we would experience this weekend. But then Saturday happened. Marquette beats UConn. And suddenly the math changes.
And as we said, that loss moves St. John's from co-champions to outright champions of the Big East.
And here's the bigger story. This is the second straight year Rick Pitino has brought St. John's back to the top of the conference. That's back-to-back regular season championships.
Caroline, this says a lot about how quickly this program has rebuilt.
Well, the national rankings reflected this too. I was floored when I saw on Monday that St. John's jumped to number 13 in the AP coaches poll.
But just as surprising to me, Erin, is that UConn only dropped to number 6.
I agree.
They're losing to Marquette.
Which shows how much the final week of the season reshaped the national picture.
And then the news keeps rolling in because next came the conference award. And St. John's showed up all over the list.
All right, ladies, I get this one. You got Friday night. I get this one. We start with Zuby Ejiofor, who was a unanimous first-team All-Big East selection. But it didn't stop there. Zuby was also named Big East Player of the Week last week. He's Defensive Player of the Year. And wait for it, especially commentators at the UConn game who said it wasn't going to happen, Big East Player of the Year. Now, just to let you know, this guy's stats, right? Averaging 16 points, 7.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2 blocks, and 1.2 steals per game. That was his average this year. No one deserves it more than our guy Zuby.
Completely agree, Caroline. All year, you have been steadfast in the fact that he is the best player in the conference. That recognition reflects what we've been talking about together all season: interior defense, rebounding, rim protection.
Okay, but there's other St. John's players that got recognized as well, right? Bryce Hopkins earned all Big East second team honors. Consistent scoring, versatility, and a huge presence in key conference games, and great pictures with you ladies from Friday night.
And Dylan Mitchell landed on All Big East third team and the All Defensive team, which speaks to his ability to guard multiple positions and disrupt opposing offenses.
So when the dust settles and we get pictures with the all conference Big East players, so exciting, we see that the Big East standings actually laid out the way they should.
Here we go at the top. St. John's finishing 18-2 in conference play. And again, I'm going to say it, claiming the regular season championship 2 years in a row.
Woohoo! And right behind them, UConn, who stayed in the race all the way to the final weekend before that loss to Marquette shifted the standings.
And then we see the next tier of the conference: Villanova finishing third, Seton Hall fourth, and Creighton rounding out the top five.
After that, Erin, we look at the middle of the conference. It's DePaul, Marquette, and Butler.
And then the final three spots: Providence, Xavier, and Georgetown.
Erin, before we fully jump into tournament week, we have to close one of our favorite segments, especially
Because
yours.
there's been a lot of surprises in that too, Caroline.
I'm just surprised how many we did this year.
I know. All right, let's not keep them waiting. Let's do it. Our last one: bold or busted.
Woohoo! We've been making predictions all season long, and now the numbers are final.
Across the entire season, we made 100 bold or busted predictions.
And the final tally looks like this: 52 bold, 46 busted, 2 push.
All right, that's not so bad for the first season out. It's pretty solid forecasting for college basketball chaos.
In the mix, we also had 3 perfect games where we went 5 for 5. So I'll take that.
Me too. Those were the nights when the game played out exactly how the numbers suggested.
All right, so if we're going to take them, then we also have to recognize the ones that were the opposite nights.
2 games, Erin, you mean, where we went 0 for 5?
Yes, Caroline. Interestingly enough, they were the same 2 games that surprised the entire conference.
And now that the season is over, we can now talk about it without any emotion. It's all clear because our Johnnies are number one. Where we went 0 for 5 was in that Providence game 1. Oh, God, those memories. And in the UConn game 2, what an awful, awful game.
2 matchups where absolutely nothing unfolded as anyone expected.
Which is also why college basketball in March is so unpredictable.
And now, all of that, every prediction, every adjustment, every weird night leads us directly to the real stage.
The Big East tournament at MSG.
3 days where the standings matter, but they don't guarantee anything.
No, they don't. And it is the best time of the year. So for St. John's, UConn, Villanova, Creighton, and Seton Hall, the path starts on Thursday, while all others begin on Wednesday. As the number 1 seed, and I'm sure many of you Johnny's fans know this, St. John's will face the winner of Providence versus Butler.
2 completely different styles, Erin. Providence slows the game down and plays physical.
And Butler spreads the floor and relies more on perimeter shooting.
But the big picture for St. John's is this: they enter the tournament now with momentum, depth, and defense that travels. 2 players on that all-defensive team and Big East Defensive Player of the Year. There is momentum there for these guys.
And historically, Erin, when the Garden gets loud, St. John's tends to feed off that energy.
And so do we. So here's how we're going to cover the tournament. For every St. John's game in the Big East tournament, we will drop a short episode the day of the game,
breaking down the matchup, the adjustments, and what to watch for.
And of course, Annie calls the score based on how those matchups played out during the regular season.
The regular season is finished.
St. John's is the Big East champions.
And now the Garden becomes the stage.
So we'll say it again, and we hope you do it. Subscribe to Full Court Femmes on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
No hype, all hoops.
Let's go, Johnny!